I'll just tell someone to put
All
on
right,
camera.
you're welcome to this live session. Today, I have a very good friend with me, Mr. Emilekon. You're welcome. It's nice to have you around.
Thank you, Coach Timmy. It's actually nice to be here. Thank you for the privilege. I don't take
Yes,
this for granted. I'm actually glad to be here this evening too.
thank you so much. So you know, so let's start from where this all started from. We were supposed to read a book for the month, and then you now said,
Uh,
you know how you said it that you read 4 books in a month. So I now said, okay, send me the 4 books. Let me join you on the train. So this book what is one of the books we are reading aside the normal book we read in our in our circle. So the title
yeah,
is a choice by John C. Maxwell. I think it's a
yeah,
very fascinating book. It's not so much of ideas outside the box, but it's more of the fundamentals that most times we overlook and we don't take serious. And I believe that is the fundamental that really make us. So we are going to be running through it. We'll be sharing what we learned from the book, and I'll also be sharing from my own point of view, and probably pick some personal examples to further explain, what we are going to be discussing. So on the surface, like, let me ask on the surface, what is the overall idea about this book? How does this speak to you?
yeah. In summary, what I was just say about this book is that when I was reading the book, uh, by the time you read the length and breadth of it, John Maxwell was trying to reiterate that talent is never enough. Like, okay, you can be talented and not be successful. So also, there was a point where he says that uh, you don't get successful by desire, you get successful by decisions. That's not the exact word he used, but in my own paraphrase. So you cannot get successful in life by desiring success. You get successful in life by the decisions that you make. So, and these are the things, our daily decisions are the ones that compound into a long-term success.
Yeah, very true. So for me, I want to go back in the memory lane, but before I do that, it's always very painful, especially when you are very skillful, but you don't seem to have success. Or let me even start by asking you, what is your own definition of success?
Yeah.
Does
So
it have to
for me,
be your own definition?
yeah, for me, I cannot give a specific definition to success. In my own case, I just see success as uh, being above the ordinary. So,
Hmm.
you know, there's this uh, like take for instance, success for somebody is not the same for another person. Take for
True,
instance,
true, true.
let's say in life, some people will just be like, "Oh, I want to uh, work for someone, make some earnings, take some loans, build a house, marry a wife, have 2 kids." Like that's success for someone. So, of course, I'm not going to downplay that, and I'm not going to say that is not success. But success is relative to individuals. Take for instance, I have dreams, I have goals, I have aspirations. So many times I would look at it like, okay, what can I do to achieve these things? And if there is not taken, I might think that until I achieve those things, I am not successful. But at the same time,
Yeah,
there are steps that we take on a daily basis towards what we want to become and what we want to achieve. And when you take these steps, there are some times that you succeed at those things you do. There are sometimes that you I don't believe in failure. There are sometimes that you learn. So it's either you
yeah,
succeed at what you do or you learn. It means that probably the strategy you use is not the right one. Probably you need to re-strategize, apply another strategy towards your goal. So success is not a destination, it's a journey. So, okay, this is where I'm going, which is okay. Take for instance, I write um, I write daily goal, I write monthly goal, I write yearly goals. So by the time I've written my goals, if I look at what I wrote to achieve today, did I achieve them? Yes, already that's a success. The
Yeah.
monthly goal, no, okay, the weekly goal has not been achieved. But if by the end of the week I'm able to achieve the weekly goal, that's a success. Now compound that into monthly goal. If I achieve that, that's a success. If I'm able to achieve, let's say like 70 to 90% of my goals in a year, that's a success. So by the time you look at it, let me say this big dream that I have, I'm not giving myself 1 year to achieve my big dreams because that's going to be probably unrealistic. I remember I was reading a post by Elon Musk one time where he says that that's what you want to achieve in 10 years. Um, Make a plan to achieve in 6 months. He said you will not achieve it in 6 months, but you will achieve
Yeah.
before 10 years. So, although as much as there are some things that are realistic, you can realistically achieve some things in 6 months. But you see that 10 years big dream, you won't achieve it in 6 months. But at the same time, you can achieve it for 10 years. So by the time I've broken my big dream down into goals, into daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, if I'm doing the checklist and I see that I'm checking my list and I'm progressive, I will see it as success because I'm no longer where I used to be. And I know that if I can give myself some time and discipline, then I will get to where I want to be. So that's my little summary or definition of success.
Yeah, I believe that's very powerful. And you said something that was very profound. I don't think many people take it serious, which is setting daily goals. I do that
Yeah.
also. I think I've been doing that for many years now. I've been doing that for like maybe 8, 10 years now. It got so bad that my wife now, when we're still in school, if I would see her, she has to be on my schedule for that day. If she's not on my
Yes,
schedule,
schedule
she'll
for
go.
that day.
So is that bad that so when it comes to visit me on campus and all that, she will have to check my schedule. Once she sees her name, she knows that I have time for her. If her name is not there, she knows that I will not have time. I can just try to go and see if I'm available. It's not true, I'm not available. so but talking about relating it to our goals, I think it's very, very important to also have plans for daily goals. I know most people said yearly goals, but only few said daily goals. And it's such that if you can meet up with your daily goals, your monthly goals, your yearly goals, you see that your big dream will just eventually play out as if it's not a big deal because you have been meeting up with several other goals, which you also mentioned to be a form of success in its own. So let's dive down into the book. I will start by we mentioned 14 choices that make success possible, and we have them here. Believe in yourself, fire up, with passion, initiate action, and all these points are very, 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 very pivotal to our success. But I want to major on a story which is under believe in yourself. I have the summary of the book here, so I'll be looking at it, which is under believe in yourself. John Maxwell told a story,
Yeah.
and under believe in yourself, he said three beliefs worth buying into. Number one is believe in your potential, and there's a story there that says that the eagle, the title of the story is like eagle among chicken. He said
Yeah.
there was a farm boy, that found eagle's egg, then took the eagle's egg, took it home to the chickens and put the eagle's egg among the chicken's egg, and the chicken laid on it, and then the egg broke, and then the eagle joined the chicken growing up. But there is always something about that eagle. The eagle always feel that there is more to her beyond just playing around on the surface. Then it happened that One day, an eagle saw her pass, and she said, the young eagle now said, I can do this. Then she just took off and he just flew away. One thing that stood out for me in that story was that the eagle believed in, let's say, its potential, believe that there is more to. And I think in our lives also, sometimes we don't even believe in what we are capable of doing. Some of us downplay
Mhm.
ourselves. We don't believe that. For example, take someone that has a skill as simple as design skill. The same design skill that people are pricing for 2K, some people are pricing it for, you know, 20K, 100K. Some people are as
Of course.
expensive as 1 million. The same skill, but until you really believe in what, in that potential you have, that might not look, big, you cannot milk it. You cannot get to the height of it. Then I also want to cite another story. Another story I want to cite is the story of the greatest general who never was. So there's a man that died and asked Saint Peter, I don't know if you remember that story, who was the greatest general that ever lived. Saint Peter
Yeah.
pointed to a man, but he said, the other guy said, I knew him on earth, but he was just a common laborer. So the question is, who was the greatest general? They were both discussing. So the other guy pointed to the man and said, this was the greatest general, but he said, I know, he was just a laborer. The part that really stood out for me was when he said he was just a normal laborer because he never became a general. That means if
Of
he
course.
was in that line, he could have become the greatest, but he never even tried it at all. And that led me to another thing that stood out for me, that says, he was saying that it is better to improve your strength than to improve your weaknesses. He said if you have
Yeah.
strength of, let's scale of 1 to 10, it's better to improve, and you are on the scale of maybe 8. It's better to improve that 8 to 10 rather than working on your weakness that is on the scale of 2. Because at the end of the day, you
Hmm.
can only increase like plus 2 points or 3 points. So which means that it is very important to first identify what you are capable of doing, our potential, major on our strengths and minor on our weaknesses.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
stood out for me.
Yeah. So let me add a little to that. Many people believe that you have to do more things to become greater or to become more. And Maxwell was saying that you really don't need to do more things. You just need to get better at what you're doing. And take for instance, what that helped me out was I learned that a couple of times ago that if I can be a pro somewhere, if I can gain ground somewhere, let me just give you an instance. It's just like someone that is planting on, say, like 1 acre of fertile land, and someone that is planting on one plot of fertile land. So, for someone that is planting on 1 acre of a land that is not fertile,
It's a waste of
he won't get the
energy.
same results as someone that is
Yeah.
planting on one plot of fertile land. Yes, you are going to put in so many efforts, but because your effort is spread across many things or many places, you're going to do more work, but you still not get the same results as someone that is working on a fertile land. So when I say a fertile land now, it means that probably a land that has been invested in. So it means that you are leveraging on that investment. It's the same thing as, take for instance, you have a skill, you use a designer as an example. I remember one time I reached out to two people for a design, and someone said, one person said probably 5K, and another person said, I think maybe 25,000. And by the time I was done with the 5K person, the person did an excellent job. So, which the other person may not even have done. I remember recently too, like, okay, I reached out to someone else. Please, I want you to make this design for me, make this design for me. I gave you the design. It's not even a design. I wanted him to modify the character that I made. So I wanted him to modify it for me. So I asked him how much it's going to cost. He gave me an amount. I wanted to price it down. He said no. I said no problem. I accepted his what's it called? The price he called. And later it was like when I told him, I didn't tell him how much I'm even charging for that job. I only told him the source of the project, where the project is coming from.
Mm.
So he was like, I don't think I want to. That's not the amount I'm supposed to charge for the project. So I was like, so what is changing the instance of the amount? What is the condition behind you now changing the amount you want to charge for the project? I told him agreement is agreement. You already told me how much you want to charge. I can actually save that information of where the project is coming from. But because I wanted you to know that I may need some other notifications along the line, that's why I'm telling you the conditions behind the project. So, this people will think that, these are people that will reach out to you like, okay, what are you doing now? Is this something I can do too? And these are people, the things they do, they're actually good at it. And I want you to know that probably this guy was charging me, let's say about $5. And for say like a character, and the client is actually paying like about $50 for a character. So it means that if I'm doing 10 characters for $500, this guy is going to be getting $50.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. And he has a skill, but I have the platform. And all of these
Yeah.
things together, they are things that he now probably has to, okay, how do you get this thing? How can I get to that place where I can charge like this? But he may want to now start to offer the skill or service that I offer and not want to maximize what is already there. I also have a guy that does a 3D animations for me, but because there is now AI to animate many things, I showed him an animation that I did with 3D, and I was like, wow, he didn't know that. I mean, animation that I did with AI, and he said he didn't know that AI can do something as perfect as this. And he was now saying that, is it possible for him to come and start doing what I'm doing? Right? Okay, take for example, I'm a web designer. It was not like, if it, is it, will it be easy for him to learn web designing and all? I was like, bro, you have a very good skill, which is animation. You can actually, AI is not your enemy. You can actually leverage on AI rather than learning a new skill. You can actually, what's it called? Find a way to make sure that AI makes your own work easier, and enter back into the field like more strengthened and with better tools. AI is a tool, not your enemy. So I was just trying to encourage him on that, on how he can just look for a way to upskill or upgrade his skills and make sure that AI does not become a threat to the skills that he offers. So people believe that doing a different thing will give them bigger results, not knowing that if you are starting a new thing today or a different thing today, it means that you have to go to the back of the queue. You have to queue at the back of others that are already doing it. You are a newbie in that space. You cannot become a pro in one day. And it will also take, and people that are already there won't be sleeping too. They're also improving on a daily basis. And by the time they continue to improve and improve, you will probably still not be able to catch up with them. So by the time you even get to that particular personal space, probably by the time you're an expert or you're a pro too, probably AI already caught up with you. So it's more like you you just went there to learn and probably not end with this skill. Excuse me. So that's it.
Awesome, awesome. So while you were talking, two questions came to mind. It might not exactly be in the book, but I feel those that might be watching this podcast might be one of the questions in their mind. By the way, if you're just coming across this platform, to encourage you to like, share, and also subscribe so that more people can see this video. Back to our discussion. First question is, how do we even discover our potential? We are talking about believing our potential. We can't believe in what we have not discovered. What
Yeah.
do we look out for? How do we even know that? Because for some people, so let me give you a background story. When I was in school, I was in 100 level. I used to go for conferences and they say write down your skills. As a matter of fact, I could not write down one skill. One,
Hmm.
I I was so blank. There was nothing I could write back then. So in 100 level, second semester, I now had to learn how to drive. So I started driving a fellowship bus. So when they asked me what skill do you have, I write down driving. So that gave me a lot of
Driving,
confidence that finally I know how to drive. I can write a skill.
of
So
course.
back then, even in 200 level, I still wanted more, but it was like I was out, and I had friends that were on scholarships. I had friends that were making, a lot of money then, web developer and all that. But I later found my path. But how do you suggest that people can discover their potential before they even start believing in it?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So this is one thing that if I had the opportunity to talk to someone and we are talking about potential and all, what I would just say is this: what can you do for free and do it perfectly? That's the first question that I ask. If you are giving this thing to do it for free, you do it like willingly and perfectly for free, and you still have something
So this
great out of
this
it.
point could be very funny. The answer could be very funny. Some people they can play, they can laugh, they can. You know, I'm just thinking like I'm looking at myself when I was still in 100 level, how lost I was. Out of
Yeah,
because we are in where there is so much competition, we are competing with the global audience. AI is
of
there,
course.
robotics, you know. So how can I say smiling is a skill? How can I? It doesn't seem to make sense. Or is there something else you can say about it?
Yeah, see, like I said, whatever you can do willingly, freely, like for free, and you can do it perfectly, there's a potential in it. Okay, I'm a freelancer. I work on Fiverr. There are people that what they do on Fiverr is they will create gigs that I will sing for you,
Hmm?
and they get people to hire them. There are people that the gig they create is I'll crack jokes for you and make you happy,
Are
and
you
they get
serious?
gigs. Yes, they get gigs. Some people will be like, I'll teach you how to cook African dishes or continental dishes. They get jobs. So that's more like on the platform basis. But now, uh, in the real sense of it, in our kind of environment, you may not be able to monetize something like that. But if you look at it very well, out of the monetizable skills, if that English exists in our environment, which of them can you do conveniently, say for free, and you still do it perfectly? Let me also add this. Uh, I'm a startup founder, and in my organization, I tell people that volunteer with us because we start with volunteers. That if you can do it now and do it perfectly, even as a volunteer, it's already an what's it called edge for you because it gives us a guarantee that even when you are being paid, you do it far better than what you are doing now. So I encourage people, even that okay, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to learn, go and volunteer. Go and volunteer that skill. If you can do it perfectly, it means that even when you are doing it for yourself, you do it perfectly. I happened to work for my guardian at the time. I was managing his business and let me say his businesses, and I was able to work for him for free. And I'll be the last person to sleep because I'll be auditing accounts. I'll be monitoring several things. And by the time I wake up in the morning, I'm waking up to work. So I literally do not have fun time like that. And by the time I started doing my own work, it was even more intense because if I can do it well for someone for free, then if I'm doing my own work, I'll be doing myself a disservice if I'm not doing it better than that. That's why when I see
Yeah.
many people, that are not, sorry to use this word, that are not being serious about things, that may probably just casual or jovial about everything. I look at them, that's a potential too. You may not just have the audience for it, but you probably have to go and find your passion in something that is monetizable, something that you can easily monetize and you can do it comfortably and conveniently. And if you can discover that, it's going to be like say an added advantage and added speed. It will be different from picking this, dropping that, picking that, dropping this. You're not just testing waters. And another thing that I would like to add is that if you do one thing well enough, long enough, you get a
Mm.
result from it. If you do
Well
one thing
enough.
well enough, long enough, you will get a result from it. And was it Pastor Aaron? It was Pastor Aaron I was listening to one day when he said he said your purpose is in what you are doing currently. He said your purpose is in what you are doing currently. Because if you can do it perfectly, it will be if it is not what you're supposed to be doing. By the time you've learned perfection in that, by the time you get to what you should be doing, you have mastered the art of perfection. So you'll be able to do it even more perfectly, and you are going to enjoy the investment you have made in what you have done before.
Wow, wow. I must applaud that. That I believe that has answered that question. You mentioned few things that I'm going to connect to chapter 4 of this book, and you said if you can do one thing well enough and long enough, even if it's not what you are designed to do, even if it is not your purpose, there's something that thing or where you have gotten to has taught you such that when you now start doing what you are really meant to do, you just transfer that mindset or that skill level to it. It doesn't have to be the same thing. You also said something about which I am a very strong advocate of, which is that volunteer. Even if you are so confused, you don't know what to do, you are not sure of your potential, you are not sure of the skill, find something to do, find somebody to learn from. You cannot
Yeah,
learning cannot be a waste time. No matter how foolish what you are learning is, it will always pay back. And sometimes you feel I wish I was giving birth by a millionaire. I wish I was the son of Dangote or these
um,
people. They need so much help, and the easiest way to enter such is being valuable around them.
of course.
They reward value, not begging, and that stood out for me. So what I want to connect to chapter 4 of this book is chapter 4 talks about initiate action, and he said there's
Yes.
a I think quote by Dustin Trotman. He said the greatest time wasted is the time getting started, and this I believe this has happened to almost everybody. When they ask you what are you working with, I'm just trying to get, I'm planning, I'm trying to gather everything together. But that's the
I'm
greatest
trying my
time wasted.
best.
I'm trying. That's the greatest time wasted because that time you are trying to prepare. And you also mentioned the other preparation. That preparation is not just planning. Preparation is taking action. You can't say you are preparing and you are not taking action. Thinking ideas are very common to men. People have great ideas, but you see what we differentiate the successful and the unsuccessful is the actions that we're taking in direction of the ideas that we got. I believe God is so generous that He has blessed us with ideas. Ideas are everywhere. There's even a part in this book that I would like to read out. And that really stood out for me because someone was I'm going to that part now. It's towards the end. Someone was being commended for being very exceptional, and he was saying that all he knew was to implement other people's idea. That stood out for me because
Mm,
I've also been there before. He said, okay, yes. So Governor, this Thomas Edison self description. Governor complimented Edison on his creative genius, and he said, I'm not a great inventor. He said, but you have 1,000 patents. Yes, but the only invention I can really claim is absolutely original. Okay, that I can only claim is absolutely original is the phonograph. He said, I guess I'm actually awful good sponge. He said, I absorb ideas from every course I can, then put them into practical use. He said, then I improve them until they become some value. He said, the ideas I use are mostly ideas of other people who do not develop them themselves. That alone
Yes.
stood out for me because sometimes we complain that, oh, I don't have that big idea. I wish I was Elon Musk. I wish I was the one that caught the idea of traveling into the space and all that. The one you caught, or the one they even said passing your ear, I just heard from somebody. Did you do anything with it?
They
Did
didn't
you
do
take
anything
action
with
with
it.
it? Sometimes, and I will say this and I'll allow you speak. Sometimes we we don't want to discuss or we don't want to share our idea with other people because we feel they might steal our idea. But
Yeah,
really,
still ideas.
it's a possibility. But it's harder to take action than to conceive ideas. It is harder to take action than to conceive ideas. So when I realized that ideas are common to men, I rather take action on the little idea I have than looking for the big idea so that I can have the big break.
Yeah, thank you for that. I would like to add a little to that. John C. Maxwell, I was reading his book, Teamwork 101. He cited the same examples in Teamwork 101 and Success is a Choice. And I believe that for him to have mentioned the same thing in two different books, it has to be something very profound that he was unable to do away with. He talked about the Wright brothers. They were the ones that invented aircraft. But
Yeah.
he mentioned that before these guys actually started working on their own aircraft, there was someone else that had built the aircraft and he kept it in his backyard because he was scared of failing. I I will say that the reason many people fail to launch or um, probably start or get to the finish line of their invention, whatever they're working on, is that they are scared of failure. So he was not talking about it like, okay, the Wright brothers in Team of 101, he mentioned that there was this other guy that has government support, he has people support and all of those things, and he was building. And by the time he flew the aircraft actually crashed into a field. But the other guys, the Wright brothers, they flew the aircraft. That's in Team of 101. They flew the aircraft, and the aircraft actually flew successfully in space, and he became the, let's say, the documented inventor of aircraft. And when I look at it very well, I see that okay, there's something that these guys did. The book recorded that they don't have government support, they are not from rich families, they only have the ideas. And by the time they started building, people started seeing that potential in them. So the idea didn't stay in their head. The idea didn't stay in their backyard because they could have just left it as crap in their backyard. Like, okay, there's no government to support us, there's no family to support us, there's no friends and all. But they did it anyways. They did it anyways. And if you look at it very well, these guys are not that exceptional. They are not this. I don't even see where it was written that they were brilliant in school or something. So they were not from rich background. They were not that brilliant. They just had their sometimes we see brilliancy as being school brilliancy or something. Well, let me not say they are not brilliant. Let me not what's it called? Because for you to conceive an idea, for you to implement it and be successful at it, you have to be brilliant. So let me say probably they are not school brilliant because you may not be school brilliant and you will be scientifically brilliant. Yes, you may not be brilliant in school and be a genius as something else. So those guys actually, when I read that story in the first book and read it in the second book again, it really stood out. Like, okay, it means that if you can take the take away the shame of not being successful at it. I was reading this book, how to, sorry for the deviations, um, how to stop, um,
Worrying.
I think that's how to stop worrying. Yes, how to stop worrying and start living. Thank you for reminding me. How to stop worrying and start living. He was saying that you have to expect the best, but prepare for the worst. So
Yeah.
it means that when we are on our journey to success, we have to expect that okay, this thing is going to work out well. I'm going to be successful at it. You are taking the right steps, but you also have to prepare yourself for the worst. That even if this does not work out well, I will know that I tried. So, like I also said, that I don't believe in failure. It's either you succeed at it or you learn from it. I think this is an opportunity for me to encourage people this evening that there's an idea that you've conceived in your heart, there's an idea that you've documented. Because if I have ideas, once I receive ideas, I document them. So over time, I will go through them again and see that I've not executed this, I've not executed this. So by the time I start executing one, I have the, let me say, the morale to start working on the second one. I remember a friend that said there's an idea that popped up to him and he didn't work on it for like 2, 3 months. And then someone brought a flyer to him that was the exact idea. It means that if it is God
That,
that is giving you an idea, He's also speaking to someone else.
that
Remember that there was a place in the Bible where God said there are 70 more prophets that have not bowed to Baal, even at night.
yeah, I remember that part in Bible, in the Old Testament. He was talking to
So,
Elijah.
yeah, it's important for us to just take that bold step. It's either you win or you learn. It's either of the two.
Yeah, so let's look at topic. We've highlighted some things from the book. The topic is success is a choice. I like thinking and putting myself in other people's shoes. That there are people genuinely struggling, and they wish that there could be a roadmap from moving from struggling to at least having a means that seems clear. Maybe for you, you have gotten past that level. You are not, of course, you are not struggling to or for what to eat. Maybe you are in a phase where you want to make impact. There are some things you want to achieve and all that. But there are some people that nothing is clear to them. There's no. It looks like they might not be successful. Their environment is against them. They don't have the right mindset. What are the maybe 3 or 5 things they should do, picking themselves up from where they are right now? Is there a guide that can help, position them for life, for a better life rather?
Yeah. So there's this thing that they say in harvest house that you cannot what's it called? You cannot eat with elephant and remain a lizard. You cannot
Uh,
eat with giant and remain a dwarf. So if you look at those things very well, they are actually practical. They are life practical things to do. If you feel like okay, you are struggling, all you need to do is just look for someone that is not struggling and find a way to okay, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. You're even not struggling in life, you need to have a value because what resources flow towards value. If there's anybody that's going to commit their resources to you, it means that you need to have a first value you are giving in exchange for their resources. So if you have identified the values that you can offer, then you have to look for where you can offer your values. I don't believe there is anyone that don't have anything they can offer.
mm,
There is definitely something people can
true.
offer, but you have to, let me go a little into this. That there are people that believe that probably there's some powers working against them. There's some things that is not allowing them to do this and that. But the most important thing is actually education first. Education, sensitization. You need someone to educate you on your ignorance. If you are struggling, it means there is something you still don't know that you need to know. When I'm talking about education now, it's not even about going back to school, but you just need to look for someone that is probably better than you, that is more successful than you, that can teach you the things that they do. That may not be what you have to do, but by the time they teach you their discipline, the things they do, the things they practice on a daily basis, and you implement some of these things, it's really going to help. It's really going to help. You can implement it to other things. Just look for any successful people and look at their daily habits. Look at what their daily habits look like, and probably implement that, apply that to what you want to do. Let me say, for example, there is someone that is a successful photographer, and he tells you, "This is what my daily schedule is like. This is how I started up. This is uh, how I what's it called? This is how I did it for say investment. This is how I pitched to investors. This is how I was helped. This is how I was raised." By the time you listen to them and you follow those steps, and by the time you want to implement the what's it called, the instructions or the guides that they give you don't implement it by ended. You make sure that they guide you through that process. That's that at that point. But there is another thing that I teach people on facts about life. We have two categories of people: people who do nothing, people who wonder how things happen, and people who take actions. Those are the three categories of people. And if you do nothing, you will not be successful. If you keep wondering will not take you to success. The only thing that can take you to success is taking actions, taking risk of it working or not working. And if you look at the categories of people that end up being poor, I would say number one, there are people who do nothing. Number two, people permit me to use this, people working under someone, like even probably the someone is also a small person. Or let me say people working under small people. I need to use that because if you're in that category, you are either going to be poor or rich. You cannot be wealthy. So we have people working alone. You have just 24 hours, and all you can achieve in 24 hours is only what you can do. Then you are either going to be poor or a little rich. You can never be wealthy. So the third category and the third set of people, pardon me, is people who are having no mentor. If you want to go far in life, you want to go fast, you need clarity, you need speed, you need a mentor. And who is your mentor? Someone that is already doing successfully what you want to be successful at. That's practically your mentor. So you need someone that is already where you want to be. Get close to them. And the last one are people who have no discipline. You cannot go far in life if you don't have discipline. So many of these things are what this book also touched.
Yeah.
Yeah, either literally many of these things are what this book actually addresses. Take for instance, you don't have discipline. Discipline is actually one of the things that this book actually talked about. If you look at it, there was a point where he talked about this golfer, this guy that plays golf. I think what's his name again? I'm trying to remember. Okay, he talked about Tiger Woods, but I'm not talking about Tiger Woods now. He talked about Tiger Woods. He talked about Michael Jordan, a basketballer. He talked ahead Bobby Jones. I'm trying to remember Bobby Jones. He talked about Bobby Jones. That Bobby Jones is a very skilled person, but he's not really good with character. His character is actually debarring him from achieving what he wants to achieve. And I think at the point his coach has to talk to him to work on his character if he really wants to go far in the game. But at the point he had to do what he had to work on his character, and he was a renowned golf player. He won medals himself. So apart from us being apart from desiring success, we have to take steps, we have to be disciplined, we have to believe in team success, we have to, what's it called? We have to take responsibilities. So many times we don't want to take responsibilities because so many of these growing up, we were not trained to take responsibilities. And it's difficult when you get to a point and you suddenly when life starts happening to you and be like, so I've gotten to the point where I have to do all of these things by myself. So all of those things, I think we have to actually look into too. And when you're at that phase of life where you feel stuck and you feel like you don't know where to start, honestly, I would just say it. Just start from somewhere. Just be disciplined and be diligent, or with that where which you want to start with. Whatever you want to start with, no matter how small, no matter how big, start with somewhere, start with someone. If you are afraid of starting alone, start with someone that can mentor you, that can guide you. Just make sure that you are disciplined and you are diligent at it. It's going to lead you into your next door. Thank you so much.
Oh, awesome. I mean, I think you have said it all. It, we also are still on that path to actualizing our dreams, to getting our
Of
purpose
course.
fulfilled. And then I believe that even those that have gotten to that height we are looking up to, this is the same path they follow. Though our
Hmm.
journey might not be exactly the same, but the principles are always the same. And the principle works both for believers and non-believers. It's such that some people might get their own success as a boom, while some people get it, gradually. All the same, I believe that the fundamental aspect to this is ensuring that you are not idle. Like the Bible says that an idle man is the devil's workshop. Ensure that you are
Yeah.
actively doing something. Might not be what you will eventually do, but always be found, number one, learning, two, doing something. I think that learning is very, very important because I also would ask myself, or should I use that to answer this question? People ask, how do I get, how do I get ideas? Ideas that can transform community, that can transform, that can impact people. I believe for me is the process of learning. You could just be reading a
Of
book,
course.
the person said something, the person said something, and what the person said stood out, and you could connect it to something else. And this is one of the reasons why we read books a lot, because it opens you up into a world that is bigger than yourself. It gives you information about people's story, people's struggles, and how they how they got through their struggles, which is very, very important. So, what Mr. American said, start from where you are. Make sure you are actively doing something. Also, believe in yourself. Believe that you can achieve whatever it is that God has placed in your heart. We are all created for
Hmm.
greatness. God cannot give birth to us and would be small. No, every seed is a seed of greatness. And like you also said, the environment is very important. You cannot eat with giants and remain a dwarf. It's not possible. And also, subject yourself to learning from people. Aside the fact that they can even point you to where you should go, they can unpick you and raise you themselves. They can give you
Yeah, of
opportunities that
course.
you yourself, have gotten for yourself. I have received opportunities that my funds cannot get them for me. They have mentioned me in rooms that I could not have. There's no way I would have entered that room, but somebody was there that knew, oh, I like this guy. And you said something that's very, very powerful also, which I think most people neglect, is that do not try to, as much as you want to learn from people, also make sure that there's something you can offer to people. Nobody wants liability. Everybody has, their own burden. Ensure that you have
Hmm.
something to offer as value. It might just be that you have time to help them. You have time to,
Hmm.
assist. You have time to. All you might have is just time, but make it count. Make it count. Make it count. Because of time, I would want us to stop here. You have a parting word for our audience.
Yeah, it's just the part where we don't really touch. I will just say that in passing. that okay, as much as we've discussed all of these things, there are so many distractions out there. There's social media, there's even people that are distractions, human, let me call it human media, because you have social media to distract you. We also have human media because the gist you didn't get from social media, they will bring it to you in person. So there are so many forms of distractions out there. It's important for us to set priorities. So the book mentioned priorities. If you look at it, you have to prioritize what's it called? What you are paying attention to. Is it the things that contributes to your success or the things that contributes to your distractions? So also I would like to say that success does not happen by chance. You have to choose
Yeah.
it and you have to work towards it. So when you choose to succeed, then you start taking steps that leads to your success. You've highlighted the things you need to do. You have to make sure that you are disciplined and you are honest with yourself. Like, okay, these are the things I want to achieve. Let me do everything on my possible best to make sure that I'm working towards those things. You can deceive others, but when it gets to the point where it remains just you and yourself, you will know that you cannot deceive yourself. So you can be actively doing nothing, and everybody will think that you are doing something, but you deep down, you know that you are not really doing anything, or you are not doing so much. So it's just important that you invite yourself to the corner of your room and ask yourself, what are the things I want to achieve? Am I really doing those things? That book was hammering on responsibilities. Responsibilities. Am I doing those things? Am I taking responsibility for my actions? Am I taking responsibility for my growth? Am I taking responsibility for the things that are not working out well? So am I doing those things that will contribute to my success, that will get me to where I want to get to? So by the time you look at those things very well, you do a course evaluation, if possible, daily retrospect and evaluation. It's going to help because if a day goes and you, at the end of the day, you see that you did not really do so much, or probably all you did was social media, which is one of our major distractions in our own generation. It's important that you look at those things and work on them against the following day. You don't wait till December and be like, oh, so this year has really ended. So let me say maybe like October when they are already thinking the year is going to an end. You're already hearing Feliz Navidad and you'll be like, wow, this year has really gone. And you don't evaluate by the end of the year. You evaluate yourself on a daily basis to see how good you are going so that you can make necessary corrections where possible. So I would like to say it again that success is not a chance, does not happen by chance. It happens by making that choice, deciding to succeed. You have to decide that you want to succeed and doing the things that will get you to where you want to get to. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome. So if you are joining us or you are just stumbling on this video, is to say that we can't give the summary of the whole book. You have to go and get it and read for yourself. We will keep reading. I will keep bringing to you as many new books as possible, summary of books as possible. This is one of those books you should get, and even if it's just one idea that is being echoed to you that you need to take action on, it that could be that you know sometimes we have access to so many informations such that we now know a lot but we don't do anything. One thing this book is telling us is that do not dwell on knowledge alone. Start taking action in the direction of what you know already. Thank you so much, Mr. Anubu, for joining me today.
Yeah,
We'll see
thank
you
you so much, sir.
hopefully with another book. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy your week.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.